Have you ever walked into a room and sensed that something had shifted, that people pulled away just a little, or a warm conversation suddenly cooled? As we grow older, we carry years of wisdom, but sometimes, without even realizing it, we also carry habits that quietly push others away, not out of malice, but out of comfort, routine, or simply not knowing. In this video, we're going to explore a few of those overlooked behaviors, habits that may be dimming the warmth in your relationships without you noticing. But don't worry, this isn't about judgment. It's about awareness, grace, and small, powerful changes that can help you feel more connected and respected. If this speaks to you, I invite you to stay with me until the end. And if you find even one insight meaningful, feel free to leave a number in the comments just so I know we're walking this journey together. Let's begin. Number 1, neglecting personal hygiene. There's a quiet power in the way we care for ourselves each day, a power that often goes unnoticed until it begins to fade. For many older adults, personal hygiene isn't something we stop caring about on purpose. It just happens gradually. Maybe energy runs lower, or routines feel harder to keep up with. Maybe we've spent so many years taking care of others that we forget to look after ourselves. But without realizing it, small details begin to change. Clothes that used to feel fresh are worn a bit longer. Hair that was once brushed daily now sits untouched. Fingernails grow out, and a slight scent lingers, one we might not notice, but others quietly do. These little signs speak louder than we think. Not about vanity, but about vitality, about how we feel inside and how we show up in the world. You see, hygiene isn't just about being clean, it's a reflection of our self-respect, and in many ways, an unspoken message to those around us. When people notice you've stopped caring for yourself, they don't always say it out loud. Instead, they shift slightly, sit a little farther away, cut visits shorter, hesitate before a hug. They aren't judging you, they're reacting to the signal that maybe you've pulled back from the world. But here's the good news, this habit can be reversed gently, simply, and with intention. A clean shirt, brushed hair, trimmed nails, a hint of fresh scent. These are small acts of care that make a big statement. They tell the world, I still care, I still have pride, I'm still here. And when people see that, they respond in kind, with warmth, with closeness, with deeper respect. Hygiene becomes more than routine. It becomes a quiet celebration of life, a daily reminder that you matter not just to others, but to yourself. So even on the days when it feels hard, remember that every small act of care is a thread that keeps you connected to dignity, to presence, and to the people who love you most. If you're still here with me, please comment. Number 1 below, I'd love to know you're still watching. Number 2, speaking without a filter. With age often comes the sense that we've earned the right to speak our minds. After all, we've lived, we've endured, we've learned, and that deserves a voice. So it's understandable when phrases like "I'm just being honest" or "I've seen enough to say what I think" come naturally. But sometimes, in the name of honesty, we forget the impact of our words. The internal filter that once nudged us to pause, to soften our tone, or to hold back a comment starts to slip. And while it may feel like freedom, to others it can come across as harsh or dismissive. You might notice subtle reactions, someone shifting in their seat, glancing away, or ending a conversation sooner than expected. It's not always what you say, but how it's said. A well-meaning comment on someone's appearance, parenting, or choices might land as judgment rather than wisdom. People may not confront you, they may simply withdraw. Fewer invitations, shorter phone calls, conversations that stay at the surface. And not because they don't care about you, but because they're guarding their own feelings from unintentional harm. But here's the truth, your words still hold great weight. In fact, they can be a bridge between generations, a source of comfort, even a spark of inspiration when they come from a place of empathy. Before speaking, ask yourself, would I want someone to say this to my grandchild? If not, maybe it needs more care. Being wise isn't about being blunt, it's about knowing how to share truth with tenderness. When your words carry kindness, people lean in. They listen not out of obligation, but out of respect and trust. And that's a kind of influence far deeper than any sharp remark could ever achieve. Speak with heart, and your voice will echo in the best way in memories, in connection, and in the warmth people feel when they're with you. Number 3, wearing clothes that don't fit anymore. There's something undeniably comforting about slipping into an old favorite shirt or pair of pants. These clothes hold memories, familiarity, a sense of home, but over time, what once fit perfectly may no longer match who we are today, physically or emotionally. As our bodies change with age, so should the way we dress, not to chase youth, but to honor ourselves in the present moment. Clothes that sag, stretch, or cling in the wrong places can quietly signal that we've stopped noticing, or worse, stopped caring. And while those around us may not say anything out loud, they notice a too tight shirt, worn out shoes, or trousers that hang oddly might speak louder than words, shaping how others perceive our vitality, confidence, and self-regard. This isn't about being fashionable or trendy. It's about sending a message to ourselves and the world that we are still engaged, still present, still proud of who we are. When someone sees you in clothing that fits well, feels fresh, and flatters your natural beauty, they see someone alive with intention. A tailored sweater, a pair of comfortable yet elegant shoes, or a pop of color that lifts your face. These are small choices that reflect a big truth: you're still showing up with grace. You don't need a new wardrobe or a stylist. You need only the willingness to let go of what no longer serves you. Replace the stretched out with something that supports you. Swap the faded for something that brings your spirit forward. When you do, others will sense it in energy that invites respect, connection, and admiration. Not because you look younger, but because you look like someone who still values every step, every moment, every mirror reflection. So wear what fits, not just your body, but your worth. And if you're still watching, let me know by commenting the number 2 below, because showing up with pride starts right here. Number 4, interrupting or dominating conversations. As we grow older, our hearts brim with stories, wisdom, and moments we long to pass on. We've walked through decades of life, loved, lost, learned, and it's only natural to want others to hear what we've gathered along the way. But sometimes, in our eagerness to share, we forget one of the greatest gifts we can offer in return: space. The space for others to speak, to feel heard, to be understood. Without realizing it, we may interrupt a thought in mid-sentence, jump in with advice before someone finishes their point, or steer the conversation back to our own experience, believing it's helpful, even bonding. But to those across from us, especially younger voices, it can feel like their words are being lost in our echo. And so, they quietly pull away, not out of disrespect, but out of exhaustion. They want connection, not correction. They want exchange, not a monologue. They want to feel like their stories matter too. And the truth is, they do. The beautiful irony is this: the more we choose to listen deeply, the more others will seek out our words. When we pause, nod, ask with genuine curiosity, "And then what happened?" or "How did that make you feel?" we create a space of warmth and mutual respect, a place where trust grows. Let your stories be a bridge, not a barrier. Let your silence be an invitation, not an absence. People remember how we made them feel, and nothing says you matter louder than letting someone speak freely. So the next time you're in a conversation, breathe, lean in, and let your wisdom wait for the right moment, because sometimes the most powerful voice in the room is the one that listens first. Number 5, complaining about kids. It often starts with a glance: a teenager glued to their phone, a young adult making choices that seem impulsive or confusing. What begins as a harmless observation can quietly become a habit. Casual comments over dinner, offhanded remarks to friends, or subtle jabs in conversation. Kids these days, it slips out more often than we realize. But beneath that phrase lies something deeper and potentially damaging. When we fall into the pattern of criticizing younger generations, even gently, it creates a wall. It tells them we're not here to understand, only to judge. And that message, even when unspoken, pushes them away. Every generation feels this pull, the sense that the world is changing too fast, that the values we held dear are being left behind. But when criticism becomes our lens, it clouds our ability to connect. To young people, it doesn't sound like concern, it sounds like rejection. And slowly, they stop sharing. They stop asking for advice. They step back, not because they don't care, but because they feel unseen, unheard, and misunderstood. But you hold something powerful, the ability to be a bridge. Instead of saying, they don't understand the real world, try asking, what's it like growing up today? That single question can open a door. It shifts the dynamic from distance to dialogue. When you listen with openness, without needing to correct or compare, you show them that their experience matters. And in turn, they begin to trust you not as someone clinging to the past, but as someone curious, compassionate, and wise. The influence you carry isn't in proving the past was better. It's in showing you're still willing to learn, adapt, and walk beside them. That's how you leave a mark, not through criticism, but through connection. Number 6, repeating the same stories over and over. Memory is a complex and delicate thing, especially as we age. It's natural to hold on to certain moments, funny ones, painful ones, those that shaped who we are. But what begins as a heartfelt recollection can, over time, slip into an unconscious loop. You may not even realize you've told the same story 3 times at the same dinner table, or repeated a memory to the same grandchild who just nodded politely the first 2 times. These repetitions aren't always a sign of cognitive decline. They're often rooted in comfort. Familiar stories give us a sense of identity, grounding us in the parts of life that feel most vivid. But for those listening, the impact can be different. Hearing the same tale again and again can feel draining, even frustrating, especially when the listener wants to connect with you in new ways. They may smile politely, but inside they're retreating, feeling like the conversation is stuck on repeat. Over time, people might engage less often, assuming that every interaction will loop back to the same memories. The goal isn't to stop sharing your life. It's to be more mindful of how often and how passionately you revisit certain moments. A helpful shift is to frame your stories as invitations. Instead of launching into the same memory, you might say, "Have I ever told you about the time?" That simple pause gives others the chance to say, "Yes, you have." Or better yet, "Tell me again, I love that one." When you balance sharing with curiosity and memory with presence, you allow conversations to evolve. You invite fresh stories in, and you give others the gift of being heard too. Our past will always be part of us, but connection, real connection, lives in the present. Number 7, oversharing medical problems. Growing older naturally brings its share of physical aches, doctor visits, and new medications. It's human to want to share those experiences after all. They shape our daily lives. But when every conversation turns into a detailed health update, it can begin to feel overwhelming for those around us. Friends may start to feel like they're sitting in a waiting room instead of enjoying your company. Family members, especially the younger ones, might grow quiet not because they don't care, but because they feel helpless, unsure how to respond to a steady stream of discomfort and concern. Over time, they may start calling less, visiting less, not out of neglect, but out of quiet emotional fatigue. That doesn't mean you should hide your struggles or pretend everything is fine. You deserve support, empathy, and understanding. But it's all about balance. Share your health when the moment feels right, but then pivot. Ask about their lives. What's bringing them joy? What challenge are they working through? What made them laugh this week? And just as importantly, share your own moments of light. The silly thing your neighbor did, the bird that's returned to your window, that one book you couldn't put down. These stories don't ignore your reality. They remind others that your life is still rich, still full of curiosity and color beyond the pages of a medical chart. You are more than your symptoms. You are a storyteller, a listener, a connector. When you speak from a place of presence rather than preoccupation, people lean in not out of duty, but out of delight. You make space not only for your truth, but for theirs. That's how relationships stay strong, not through perfect health, but through shared warmth, mutual interest, and moments of lightness that make all the difference. Number 8, being stubborn about outdated beliefs. With age comes wisdom, but sometimes, without meaning to, that wisdom hardens into certainty. It's natural. You've spent a lifetime forming your values, your views, your way of doing things, but the world doesn't stop evolving. And when we cling too tightly to ideas that no longer fit the times, we risk creating distance rather than connection. Maybe it shows up as brushing off someone's new perspective with, "That's not how we did it," or dismissing a younger person's idea as naive or impractical. In those moments, What feels like sharing experience can instead sound like resistance to change. And the people around you, especially the younger ones, may stop trying to share, not because they don't respect you, but because they feel unheard. Being open doesn't mean giving up what you believe. It means making space for others to bring something new to the table. It's the difference between being a rock and being a tree. A rock stays exactly as it is. A tree, it has deep roots, but it still sways with the wind. It still grows. When you show that you're willing to listen, to consider, to learn even just a little, you send a powerful message that you're still curious, still connected, still growing. Your values are valid. Your life experience is a gift. But they shine brightest when shared with empathy, not insistence. So the next time a conversation brings up something unfamiliar or uncomfortable, take a breath, ask a question, stay open. You might be surprised by how much more deeply others engage with you, not just because of your years, but because of your grace. And in doing so, you become not only wise, but timeless. Number 9, walking or moving without awareness of space. As we age, it's completely normal for our movements to slow down and our sense of surroundings to shift. Reflexes aren't quite as sharp, and sometimes we find ourselves pausing to gather our thoughts or adjust our footing. These changes are nothing to be ashamed of. They're part of life's natural rhythm. But what we often don't realize is how these small adjustments can quietly affect the people around us. Maybe it's pausing in the middle of a busy grocery aisle without noticing others trying to get by, or stopping abruptly on a sidewalk, causing someone behind to stumble, even drifting unintentionally into another's path in a hallway or at a public event. These little moments may seem harmless, but over time, they create ripples of frustration that others might never express aloud. Most people won't point it out. They'll offer a polite smile, shift to the side, or simply avoid crossing your path next time, not out of disrespect, but because these moments, repeated enough, create invisible barriers. That's why awareness is such a quiet superpower. Moving with mindfulness doesn't require speed or perfect coordination. It asks only for presence, a quick glance around before stopping, a choice to walk along one side of a path, a pause in a quiet corner instead of in the center of a busy space. These tiny gestures show that you still see the world around you and care about how you move through it. And in return, others will feel that too. They'll sense your attentiveness, your consideration, your grace. You won't just be someone navigating public spaces. You'll be someone making them more peaceful and pleasant for everyone. Because courtesy isn't about grand gestures. It's about the small ways we show respect for others, even when we're just walking down the aisle. When we move with care, we move with dignity, and that's something people never forget. Number 10, making jokes that don't age well. Laughter is one of life's greatest joys. A well-timed joke, a shared chuckle, it connects us, lightens the air, and makes us feel alive. And for many of us, humor has been a lifelong companion, but as times change, so too does the way humor is received. Jokes that once brought a room to tears of laughter may now stir quiet discomfort. A sarcastic remark, a teasing jab, or a comment built on stereotypes might feel harmless or nostalgic to you, but to others, especially younger generations, it may come across as outdated or even hurtful. Most people won't confront you directly. Instead, they'll give a tight smile, shift the conversation, or slowly begin to withdraw. It's not about being overly sensitive, it's about being seen, heard, and respected in a world that's grown more aware of the impact words can have. Humor rooted in exclusion tends to build walls, but the kind of humor that welcomes, that shows humility and awareness, has the power to open doors. This doesn't mean silencing your personality or losing your playful spark. It simply means adapting with intention. Share a story that makes fun of your own quirks. Point out something wonderfully strange about everyday life. Let your humor highlight what unites us rather than what divides. When you do, people won't just laugh, they'll lean in, drawn to your warmth and your wisdom. True humor, the kind that lingers and uplifts, doesn't need to be sharp to be smart. It only needs to be kind. And when you allow your laughter to evolve with the times, you don't lose your voice, you make it more powerful. You become someone who's not just funny, but also deeply in tune with the world around you. That's a kind of charm that never gets old. If you're still here with me, comment number 4 below. I'm grateful you're sharing this journey. Number 11, acting helpless when you're not. Getting older can bring real challenges, slower reflexes, unfamiliar technology, or tasks that once felt simple now requiring more effort. It's okay to ask for help. In fact, knowing when to ask is a strength, but there's a quiet trap that many fall into without noticing, leaning too quickly on others for things they're still fully capable of doing. Whether it's saying, "I can't figure this out," before trying, or routinely handing over small responsibilities like carrying a light bag or adjusting the TV remote, this pattern, over time, can create a message that says, "I've stopped trying." Often, it isn't laziness. It's rooted in deeper emotions, the fear of making mistakes, the anxiety of feeling behind, or simply the discomfort of stepping into a fast-changing world. But when we default to helplessness, especially with those we love, it can wear on them. Family members begin to feel more like caretakers than companions. Friends may quietly step back, unsure how to keep the relationship balanced. And worst of all, it chips away at our own confidence little by little. We stop believing we can. But here's the beautiful truth. Effort speaks louder than perfection. People admire your willingness to try, even if you don't get it right the first time. Whether it's exploring a new app, lifting your own groceries, or learning how to reset a Wi-Fi router, every act of initiative builds something inside you. It says, "I still have strength, I still have independence." And when you do need help, which we all do, at times ask with clarity and gratitude, not from a place of defeat, but from a place of respect for both yourself and the one helping. Being independent doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means participating fully, doing what you can, and facing what you can't with grace. When you approach life this way, you not only preserve your dignity, you inspire everyone around you. Number 12, pretending you're always right. After a lifetime of navigating ups and downs, solving problems, and learning through experience, it's only natural to feel confident in your views. You've earned that wisdom, but sometimes, without meaning to, that confidence can tip into something heavier, a need to always be right. Whether it's correcting someone's story, brushing off a different opinion with "trust me, I know," or insisting that your way is the only way, these moments, though small, can gradually create distance between you and those you love. You may not even notice it happening, but others do. They might stop offering their thoughts, avoid deeper conversations, or only share what they think you want to hear, not because they don't care, but because they're trying to avoid conflict or feeling dismissed. And over time, what used to be rich, heartfelt exchanges get replaced with surface-level chatter. But here's the beauty of true wisdom. It doesn't shout, it listens. It asks questions. It creates space for others to feel heard. 2, when you share your insights with openness rather than insistence, your words land differently. Instead of dominating the room, they invite connection. Instead of making others feel small, they make people feel safe. You don't have to let go of your experiences or soften your beliefs. Just offer them with humility. Try saying, "Here's what I've seen. What do you think, or this worked for me? But I'd love to know your take." That simple shift turns a conversation into a bond. It transforms your presence from one people endure into one they seek out because you make them feel seen, not corrected. In the end, being wise isn't about always having the last word. It's about knowing when to speak, when to listen, and how to leave room for others to grow alongside you. That's how your voice truly carries, not through volume, but through grace. Thank you for spending this time reflecting with me. These 12 habits may seem small, but they quietly shape how others experience our presence and how we feel about ourselves. If even one of them spoke to you today, I invite you to share a quick comment below. Just write "still growing" if you're on this journey with me. And if this video moved you in any way, feel free to like and subscribe so we can keep exploring these gentle lessons together. Stay kind to yourself, stay open to change, and remember, growing older is not the end of becoming better. I'll see you in the next video.